to October 10th, 2019 Planning Board meeting. I'm going to mess the agenda up a little bit, because the first one shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Mr. Frederick Hippler of 278 Quaker Street for a stone wall removal for a drive. Mr. Hippler, please.
Thank you, Chairman.
Feet of stone wall.
So I kind of have to revise that because after looking at it and things have died off a little bit, it's more like 15, maybe less. And looking at the natural layout of the land, on one side of my property, it looks like definite vintage stone wall, and then to the other side of my driveway is definitely vintage stone wall as probably boundaries. But this small section, it looks like it was put in as a retaining wall because it doesn't match the characteristics of either side.
And what's the reason for removing it?
So I own antique tractor trailer units, and this is to increase the area. I'm going to pull back the area, as you can see in the drawing, to allow for a swing of a trailer to get into my driveway. Come off Quaker Street.
So you want to clear out that triangle.
Correct. Yep.
And where's the triangle on this map?
You got the shorter version of it, it might be on this one. Ricky, it might be on this one.
Oh, okay. The driveway is
Here's the driveway.
every orientation.
Oh, this is some driveway.
No,
That's not it?
this is my lot right here.
Oh, this is
So-
somebody else's?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so this probably about right where that arrow is the wall, and this is just a short section.
Here,
Actually.
draw your driveway.
So the driveway is probably right here, and I'm just taking a small chunk right there.
Got it.
I think you meant over here.
So
This is not yours, or this is, no, this
That's
is?
not mine, no.
Oh, so your driveway's here,
Correct.
and you want
Oh,
to take?
Yeah,
no?
I'm sorry. Yes, that's right.
And you want to take,
That small corner out, yes. So I got some pictures right here.
oh, great.
So I'm parked in the driveway with my Tahoe, and I'm just gonna take up about that hay rake. That tree's staying, that one's going, those two are staying. So it's just that little small corner right there. And that's the stone wall that I'm talking right there. It looks like it,
And
that's why I said I thought.
Show me the other wall that you say is different.
I don't know if I have that in the pictures. It's over here. That stone wall is over there.
I can't
And like I
see
said,
it.
that large tree is staying, and that stone wall starts probably about, you can kind of see it, it doesn't always, it starts right about there, I'd say. So it's more like 10 to 15 feet of it.
Okay.
It's not a lot of stone wall. Anybody else want to see? I don't think that the total opening of the driveway will be 30 feet when it's all said and done. If it is, it'll be just there, where it meets Quaker Street.
So you want to take out 15 feet now?
15 feet of wall, yes, but it's gonna be more material removed, but there's not gonna be stone wall there. No, I didn't, at least I put my foot in the poison ivy there and I didn't feel any rocks
I
there,
was
so.
wondering what you were doing with poison ivy.
Yeah, yeah, I ain't gonna touch it, that's for sure. My back will touch it, not me.
What are you gonna do with the stones?
Probably just use them out back. I'm gonna, when I swale it, out back, I'll just use it as a retaining wall.
You're going to take those stones and build a wall somewhere else on your property with
Yes.
those stones?
Yes. Yeah, and there's a little drop behind where my leach field is, and I figured just use it there.
You were supposed to say you're gonna build the wall up nicer in front of on Quaker Street.
I know.
That was the correct answer.
But it's already nice if I can get some of the poison ivy and weeds out of it. It's already pretty well built, so.
Glyphosate or goats? The two Gs.
Yeah, I know people with goats. I could probably borrow a few.
Goats there one
Yeah,
time.
I could probably borrow a few. It'd be fencing them in, though. That'd be the only problem.
Tether them.
Get to the middle of Quaker Street, right?
You looking for a motion?
Yes, I am.
It's 15 feet. I move that the application from Frederick Hippler dated or received by the building department on October 3rd for permission to remove up to 15 feet of stone wall along his property fronting Quaker Street from his driveway 15 feet to the east. Be approved.
It would be to the east.
I don't know
That
what
would be to
direction
the
it is.
west.
Is it the west? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's to
When
the west?
sun comes up, you drive down the hill, you're looking at the sun. So
I thought he was on the, southern side. Is he on the west, northern side of the street?
Yes.
Yes.
Strike east and west.
There's 15 feet of stone
On the
wall.
street.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Good luck with selectmen, they're pretty tough. Good luck with selectmen, they're pretty
Yes.
tough.
Yeah, I
Thank
hit
you.
it tough. Yeah, I know they're next, so I'll get on that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Neil, can I have that large map back?
Sure. You don't want these.
If you don't want them, I will recycle them.
I got a pile started.
Yeah,
Good.
just start at 5.
Okay.
Okay, second item on the agenda, Gary Remillard and Mike Dahlberg would like to speak to the board regarding the approved building / site plan for Whitetail Development. I believe it's about certificates of occupancy. I'm not sure about that.
There's actually two things. One is, we built the plan for each Remillard is to build one building at a time. Rent it, start the subsequent building. And so we would like to know what the board's gonna require for installation
Do you have an
for
extra one?
one certificate of occupancy. Other than the obvious of the drainage for that building, pavement, the leach field, detention basin. And then the second question is, we need to draw some lines for phasing of the condominium. And we need to make some amendments to the condominium documents. Insurances and responsibilities were left out of the declaration that was recorded. So we're not proposing any changes to the site plan or the buildings or the layout or the density or anything like that. It's just about construction phasing and drawing some lines on the plan, the condominium site plan, re-recording that and re-recording the condominium declaration. And the condition of approval was that the condominium declaration and condo docs needed to be reviewed by the town attorney. So our position is that the drawing of the phase lines is not a material change to the site plan, and the condo docs would contain everything that the board required about a year ago. And there would be a bunch of housekeeping items in the condo docs.
So what are you trying to show here in the map?
I'm showing you in red what the phases in all likelihood would look like.
Okay, you have two phase fours
No, that's one phase 4
in two places.
in two places.
Oh, because the cistern's gonna be part of phase four.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And that's all it is. We need to, if one of these existing buildings is sold, the way the existing condominium is written, as it was explained to me by Attorney Brad Westgate, because units, the proposed buildings are not yet constructed, the association is based on the number of units. And if Unit 2, existing building B, was sold first, they would have more units and they would control the development. Needless to say,
Yes,
the attorney that prepared these condo docs really didn't think it out. And I'm not an attorney, so I have no opinion, other than I know what I was told by Brad Westgate, and then Mr. Remelard's attorneys in a meeting. So that's why we're back here to say that we need to put phase lines and phasing in, and basically a redo of the condo docs.
So phase 1 and 2 are essentially done.
Phase 1 and 2 are done.
Phase 3 is effectively what you're proposing next,
That's my understanding, yes.
which would include all the drainage,
Yep,
septic system,
yep,
well, the well is right there too.
correct.
all the drainage flows to the middle, right?
The detention basin, I believe, is in place.
I mean, all the drainage from the buildings flow to the middle, to a catch basin in the middle, if I remember right.
I don't have the drainage plan in front of me, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if I remember right.
So obviously, the drainage for proposed building 1 would have to be connected to the detention basin.
Where on that plan is the detention basin you're referring to?
Right here. But there was some catch basins like in here.
That drained into this?
Drained into that, yes.
I believe the leach field is being installed this week.
So, basically, you're proposing to do the entire infrastructure up front.
Majority of it, yeah.
What are you not going to do
Well,
up
we're not
front?
gonna do the drainage in the wells and the septic tanks for buildings 2, 3, and 4.
But they
Proposed
would,
buildings 2, 3, and 4.
that's 4, 5, and 6?
Phase.
Yes,
4, 5.
yes,
And that would be done as the buildings were constructed?
correct. The main line that runs the drainage to the detention basin has to be installed, but the laterals, if you will, that connect proposed buildings 2, 3, and 4 don't need to be installed just now.
And the septic system would be the full size
Yes,
for the entire, so in effect, with the exception that you mentioned, the proposal is to complete the infrastructure as a prerequisite, not as a prerequisite, initially, so that if something happened
yes,
and Building 6 was going to be built, Building 6 could be built on that particular lot, connected to the
yep,
septic system and connected to the drainage basin without going through or under 4 or 5.
absolutely.
What about the driveway to Rice's?
It's no longer Rice's, it's now Mr. Remillard,
Oh,
but that's been constructed. It's not final grade yet, because they're still running stuff back and forth, but that's been constructed.
And what's that going to be used for,
What?
that driveway to the Rice's
It's-
property?
There are 2 residential units on that property, and they're both rented,
On which property?
the Rice property. 412-203.
back here.
There were, and
There are.
There are,
They have been.
there has
they
been,
were there historically.
yes.
So this driveway is being still used only for residential purposes.
Correct.
It's not being used for anything to do with the development.
Nope,
And that will remain the case.
yep.
When you say the infrastructure is, anyway, is the grading gonna be done for these units? For units or phases 4, 5, and 6, is it gonna be done prior to
That's a very good question. I'm not sure
Thank
really
you.
where he is with the removal of the gravel. I can
I'm
find
sure that's
out.
gonna be people's in the audience
'cause
questions.
To get those catch basins and drainage in, he's gonna kinda have to grade it, right?
I would imagine so.
I don't think the people in the audience, nor would the board really want this going on construction-wise. Gravel removal going on what couldn't seem to be forever.
Well, you know,
I mean,
the economy
5 years.
dictates lots of things.
I understand, a year ago it was gonna all be built at once, so therefore the construction was gonna be done before one building was occupied.
Plans change.
I understand, that's why I'm asking these questions.
I'm sure that Mr. Erlar would like to just get the gravel done, but if there's not a high demand, there's not a high demand.
What's the reason for phasing?
Money, not to get overextended. Two, we need to institute the phasing for the condominium for
To maintain control?
liability control, fees, funds, monies, because basically Gary could sell existing building B and be shut out of his own development.
Well, you could change that with the documents, couldn't you?
Yeah, but we need to phase it.
Not for that reason, though, I don't think.
But the way it was explained to me, just because the way that the condominium document is written now, it's like all the units exist and they're all sold individually. It's not structured properly.
Okay.
But couldn't you revise, rather than phasing it in, couldn't you just revise
Well-
that document so that control
Yeah,
is retained until there's actual physical ownership and occupancy?
That's gonna be the whole rewrite or the majority rewrite of the condo doc, but
I don't think you need to phase it to do that, do you?
Right.
the attorney would like to see us phase it, so it's a belt and suspenders approach. It makes it cleaner, legally.
So the cistern when's the cistern going in?
System would go in, as,
Phase
when the
4.
second building goes in.
So prior to the CO for phase, building 4, building 3 or 4, all depends on.
Yes. Whatever building comes online next of the new proposed buildings, the cistern would go in then, and it would have to be complete and tested before occupancy.
Has he started any buildings at all yet?
No.
No.
But phase one, that building exists.
Yeah, phase 1 and
Yeah,
2 are
phase
done.
1 and 2 are
Okay.
built, yes.
And if the only, if what you want were approved, but requiring that all of the infrastructure, including grading and removal of gravel, be completed by a date certain, so that,
Well,
so that the neighbors don't have to endure years of gravel removal. I think that was Craig's point. A little bit here, a little
Well,
bit there.
that's not how it was initially presented. I mean, schedules change. We didn't say we're gonna remove all the gravel in a year. We'd like to,
I'm not saying in a year,
but
but it,
this has only been going on for what? Since the spring.
Oh, I thought I was gonna say forever.
Well, he started digging, he means, I think.
I'm being
April.
sarcastic, I'm sorry.
March, April.
I mean, if the gravel's not gone out of areas where 4, 5, and 6 are, then how are you gonna take care of the drainage for building 3?
I believe that they're working from the riverside on what would be the south end is phase 3 and what is 4, proposed building 3, and working towards the power lines. I really haven't been on site, other than to drive by once or twice in the past 6 months.
I mean, you kind of have to have the drainage to that detention basin stuff in and
I'm pretty sure it's in.
stabilized.
I believe it's in.
Yeah, but with the stuff that's feeding it too, right?
Well, the catch basins and stuff all have to have the filter bags and,
Yeah.
you know, none of that's changed. The operational construction standards and erosion control, AOT permit, that's all still in place. We're not asking to change anything other than to phase it and tweak the condo docks.
Did he bond some of this?
He bonded the reclamation.
He bonded reclamation, yes. The only issue I see is to make sure the site is stabilized.
Well, that's what I'm
Which
thinking of.
is-
That's one.
Yeah.
Two, I would like to somehow keep the gravel operation, removal operation limited somewhat. Don't ask me how yet. I don't know if it's a duration or possibly hours of the day, removing some day. If it's gonna take this long, can we knock a couple days off to give the neighbors peace and quiet on Saturdays?
We already
Just a
can't
thought.
work Saturdays.
What do you mean you can't work Saturday? No work on Saturday, Sunday, you're right. I'd like to see something with where the drainage is,
Well, we're not-
et cetera. I know we can't approve it tonight.
We're not
anyway.
asking for amended site plan.
I understand, but I wanna see the.
There's nothing with the site plan. This is just phase lines and condo docks. I really don't think the board has that purview to revisit that.
Why are you here then?
Revisit what?
To revisit the previously agreed to standards of
Oh,
how
I'm
he's
not talking
gonna.
about, are the catch basins correct, they're only the right place?
No, the
I'm just-
removal of gravel. And everything. I don't believe you have that purview.
I don't know if we do or not.
So,
I'm concerned about the phase lines being, phase 4 has no parking spaces in it. Zero.
Well, look, I scab these phases
I
on.
understand, that's what I wanna say,
today.
I wanna make sure we're doing this, we gotta have a public hearing on the phasing anyway. So I would just wanna make sure that we see where the drainage is, where the tanks are, make sure that the tank for, I don't know, unit 4 is not in, or, yeah, the tank for, unit 4, lack of a better term, building 4 is not in phase 5. Silly little things like that. Make sure the drainage is actually gonna be workable the way the phase lines are drawn.
Well,
That's my main concern.
the phase lines don't necessarily have anything to do with infrastructure. It's basically in terms of the number of units and the ownership and control thereof.
why do you think you need planning board approval?
I really don't think we do, actually, because we're not changing the site plan, we're not changing the condominium, we're just adjusting it. I'm basically here to ask for what you're gonna require for a CO for one building, and to let you know, this is what we need to do, what we want to do. But I think that at this point, because it's already approved and recorded, this is just an endorsement by the planning board for the phase lines. In fact, I don't even know if we need, on a commercial condo, because it's already approved, that we even need the board's signature on anything.
If you change the condo documents, does that require the board's approval?
No, I don't believe so. These,
Didn't we
the-
approve
the-
those initially?
You had the town attorney review them and approve them, and that was the condition of approval.
So you're proposing to change those, so the planning board might have to
Through your attorney,
sign on to the changes.
well, the condition of approval was that the town's attorney, town council reviews them. That's just the language that was contained in the approval. You don't have to make a decision tonight, you can let me know. building on phase 3 is not going in this year anyways. So, we have time.
So the building in phase 3 is not going in this year, you're not paving anything this year?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Have the units in Building 1 been sold?
I don't believe so.
How about unit in Phase 2, that building?
I don't believe so.
There's tenants in there though, right?
No, the buildings are full.
Well, yeah. I guess we need to ask Mr. Drescher to see what our purview is on this situation.
Well, I do have a question that if a building, one of the phases were to be built now, would all of the conditions that were approved to begin with need to be considered before a CO?
I think so.
I think so.
There's 19 conditions according to the 2018 approval.
I assume all 19 are done though.
Yeah, some were just needed to be noted on the plan.
Yeah,
but-
most of them were just noted.
Well, that's all done because
Yeah, because I signed
you
it.
signed them
Right.
and recorded the condo plans.
But that would be part of the CO process, would be to
Yeah,
check the
to
approval.
go through it.
Want to hear from the abutters?
So if they build a
I don't know.
building, Mike, which one are they gonna build? Is it number
This
4
is
Whitetail
just
Lane, or is it?
Right.
Casual, they have no legal right.
I believe the one that they would build
They may
first
have some
is
perspective that you might want to hear.
Yeah, I will ask them. Not sure I want to, but I
2
will.
Whitetail Lane.
Which is in phase 3, what you got, Mike?
Correct.
And I thought you just said phase 3, you weren't gonna do any construction in phase 3.
Well, no, not this year. None of the new buildings are going up.
None of those
this
new
year.
buildings, okay,
Not this year.
that's what I wanted to say, okay.
I apologize for the,
Yeah, I was confused a little bit with them going back and forth. So, okay, but some of the infrastructure in that area where 3, 4, 5, and 6 kind of intersect,
oh, yeah.
they're going to put, some of the infrastructure
My
as far as
understanding that-
drainage to the detention
The
pond.
detention pond is installed and the pipe coming out of the
Piping to
detention
it.
pond is in.
Yep.
Head wall is in, loamed and seeded. And the leach field is going in this week because they called for the construction approval number for their inspection.
Okay.
So, in fact, I got that call this morning. So they're making progress.
I mean,
Just not as quickly as they,
I don't think there's anything anywhere that says you can't get a CO for any building unless the other ones are all up and ready.
No.
well, we just want to ask if we need to do them one at a time.
I mean, the only thing I'd be worried about, like Craig said, that you have the appropriate parking spaces available as the buildings go up, so that you don't,
Like if 5 would be the last one, most of the parking is.
but
in phase
if all the
5.
utilities are
so-
tied into the building and all the utilities are done for that building, and you get the number of parking spaces you're supposed to have for that building.
Well, I believe on the condo site plan, we labeled which parking.
I think,
Right,
I
but I
think,
think some of 4 is in 5.
yeah, I think the confusing part is that you've put your red lines and
Well,
you've cut out the parking spaces
that-
for that building,
The,
so.
I'm sure some of the parking for 3 is in 4 too, so.
Yeah,
the phase lines obviously need to be drawn
A little better.
that show that.
yeah.
But,
It shows you got no parking.
I think you understand the intent and
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
and the
Yeah.
need, and the need. Obviously, we can't sell units if they don't have parking.
Right, right. But I
That's-
mean,
I mean, that's gonna violate, well, not just the terms of the condominium, but, the inherent value of the unit.
I mean, if all the utilities into the building, if the building's fully operational and all the, I don't see a problem with getting permits, COs as you go.
I'm not sure about the cistern being in the second.
No, that's the one question I had, the cistern being put off for another building, but
Well, what if he bonded that for the second building?
I think the other part of that question is probably consult with the fire chief also.
Yeah. Well, you know what he's gonna say, or I have a pretty good idea what he's gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I
me
mean,
too.
also to look at the NFPA standards and what it's supposed to supply for,
There's already 2 buildings there now?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
in phase 1 and phase 2. The buildings shown are already there. Is that cistern that's gonna go over in 4, I guess it's going, what, in phase 4 near Granite State?
Yeah,
It's gonna lie between
Plumbing.
Granite State's parking lot and
Yeah.
towards Building 2, in that grassed area,
Yep,
And that cistern is for,
Everything.
everything.
is that gonna supply also Granite State? Do you
yeah,
know?
for everything.
It's
down
gonna supply the entire neighborhood.
Whatever it can reach.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the town has an easement. They've already recorded the easement
Yep,
to the town.
okay, so,
so that's not in place now, is that
Not yet,
correct?
no.
yeah.
And
So-
it would not be in place if this were approved and phase 3 were implemented? Or would it be a condition of phasing that the cistern had to go in before any additional buildings were constructed?
Well, that's the meat of our question.
That's one of the reasons
I
he's
think
here.
we'd have to consult with the
So,
fire chief on that.
Well,
I mean, that would be the
yeah,
prudent thing, where it's gonna supply everybody in the surrounding area.
that's part of the building permit process for a commercial building anyway.
Yeah, I know,
So,
but, you know, whereas the town's got an easement to it, it's gonna supply buildings that are,
right.
you know, outside of this
The
project.
other
so to
question would be,
speak.
how much is, or what condition is Whitetail Lane gonna be in prior to a CO?
well, that would have to be paved and marked.
And you're gonna be hauling gravel out over the pavement?
We don't, yeah. If he damages his own road, he's gonna have to fix
Yeah,
it.
it's his road, but
It'd just be a binder, we wouldn't let him top coat it until everything else is done.
depends how much gravel he's hauling out, it won't, no matter what it is.
Oh, I know.
Part of that's pavement through there already.
Yes. To the phase 1-3 line is paved.
What size is the cistern gonna be, Mike, do you know? Do you remember?
I think it's 20,000 gallons. It's a big cistern.
It should be 30, that's
I
what
thought it
the
was
FEA
30.
standards.
I don't remember,
I don't
honestly.
remember either, but I thought it was 30.
It could be 30.
Yeah, that's what the call is supposed to be.
Well, let's speak with the fire chief. You can ask Attorney Drescher. I'll tweak the phase lines. We can meet again.
Out of courtesy, I'm gonna ask if anybody from the audience likes to speak. If anybody likes to speak. This is pretty much a conceptual meeting, but.
I just have a question about the neighbors all gonna be going.
That's a good question for the phasing when we get there.
With all the gravel, of course, being shown now, we were told that it was like a couple months, now it's going on 6 months. So when's the landscaping being done?
I would assume that would be right before he gets a CO. So 99% of the time, that's when it goes in.
You can do that this time of year?
No, he's not gonna be doing it this year, I'm sure of that.
Which buildings are you referring to?
Just the landscaping the trees that are gonna be put up.
Oh,
so that it's not up.
I would assume they're gonna be in before he gets his first CO.
And the driveway that's being used is being used a lot. Is that driveway, that dirt road
it's being used for,
coming out?
What
What's it-
driveway?
It's his property.
Obviously.
wait, Sheila, which driveway are you referring to? The one that led to the Rice's house?
Yes.
What's it being used for?
The one that's right beside Edda's house, the house that's on the right, as
Yep.
you
Yes.
go up into the driveway.
Yep.
The trucks are coming in out of their lot, and I thought they were only supposed to come out of Oil Mill.
Which trucks? Trucks
The
carrying
gravel?
gravel?
Trucks, yeah.
That was my understanding too. Trucks were gonna go out Royal Mill.
Yeah, I recall that too.
Yeah, but I think at the time, part of
Time
that
he
was
didn't-
because
at
he
the time, he
didn't,
didn't have rights to use it.
he didn't have rights to use it, now he owns it.
So that's,
Yeah, we didn't think about him buying that, did we?
No, but the reason for requiring the gravel trucks to go out and oil mill was to prevent
No, I
Etta
understand-
Palmer's
I
house
understand why.
from being made less than desirably habitable because of all the
Can I
noise.
That's not,
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, yes.
Well, no, they're going to oil mill, 'cause that was the
that
only,
was never an
the
option.
oil mill was the only way into that.
But
No, yeah, that was never an
He
option.
could never, he could not have gone out
Never
there.
on the table.
Question, are the gravel trucks going out the private driveway and turning left or right?
Ones that I've seen are going right.
They're
Yeah.
going out to 114.
Yeah, they can't go to the left, you know, unless they go, turn around and go up River Road out, like, back out towards the center of town,
Right.
because it's posted down at that end, it's no through trucking, so.
Anybody else in the audience like to speak?
Frank, I just
Yes,
want,
sir.
if you don't mind, clarify the question or the concern you had about the cistern. To be sure I understand that what the plan here is, like, one building will go in and the proposal is to postpone the installation of the cistern until the next phase of construction, new buildings go up. But it's, am I correct in understanding that the concern is that by postponing the cistern installation, we're postponing the removal of the gravel to do that? And so that extends how long that phase of the project goes on, or is that not?
Well, the reason I mentioned the cistern is because typically the fire department wants a cistern for fighting fires with the first building. There's already 3 down there. I know they aren't part of this. 2 of them are, one of them.
I don't think they've burned down yet.
Not yet.
No gravel has.
I haven't been there today.
No, they're not being occupied. They're
Not to dig a hole.
Remote, right.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's way over by, where they're gonna
Granite
put
State's
it.
driveway.
By Granite State
So then,
Plumbing.
my question is where the gravel then would be associated with the construction of the next,
Where they're
2,
doing
3
it now,
buildings.
is with the gravel operation.
I think we understand the need and the reason for the phasing.
Yeah, I
to pace
understand it. I don't
But we,
know.
as you said, we would appreciate, having at least that part, at least knowing that there's some
Yeah, I mean,
concrete end date, no
Yes.
pun intended, to that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, I think we need to talk to Mr. Drescher. See what we can do, can't do. I don't remember, do the condo docs have to be reviewed by him, revised condo docs have to be reviewed by the town council? Okay. The question is, does the phasing plan get reviewed by us, approved by us? That's the question.
Does the AG's office need to approve the phasing plan?
They're not residential condos, AT has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
So put it this way, since the phasing may not be of our purview, you may not have to redraw the phasing lines. That's up to you. We will wait and hear from Mr.
Well,
Drescher and get back to you.
Well-
The red Sharpie is not gonna pass the registry rules. So-
But even so, there's a problem with parking for 4 that has to be addressed.
Well, no.
But if it's not of our purview, it's not our matter, it's his problem.
There's not a problem because those lines are conceptual. What you see is conceptual. Obviously, a document that's gonna be recorded,
Needs a planning board signature on it.
it's gonna have,
No, it
no.
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No?
Condo plan doesn't need plan board signature. The plan that gets finally recorded is gonna have the phase lines and the language, such that each phase, the building in each phase has the amenities that it's supposed to have, based on the original condo.
Right.
The lines that are drawn there are just for discussion.
Kelly, could you also talk to the fire department,
Yep.
Board of Fire Wards, about the cistern?
And the timing.
Yes, well, that's the whole
Yeah, that's,
discussion.
yeah.
You're a little late, but I'll let you speak. Oh, I'm in a good mood.
Very simple question. Is there a timeline in any of this as to when this can be wrapped up?
No,
That's my concern, you know, is this gonna be another 5-year project, or, I mean, I know it's in Mr. Remelade's best interest to get it done sooner rather than later. So, just curious.
any more questions for us, Mr. Loper? Thank you very much. Have a nice day, evening. I'm not gonna recycle that.
I'll take my. Want to take this with you? Yeah. So can I have somebody's copy of,
Where the hell, I don't see the word sister here.
I put it up in here. He hasn't brought it in.
Oh, okay.
Let's see it like,
Very nice to Mr. Oh, you got
see,
something else.
see right here.
You were very Oh, yeah. nice to
See
Mr.
that circle right by the.
Should I have been?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It reminds me of
This
something.
is one he just photocopied. Yeah, just before he got here.
Wow,
What about,
Wow, it's
Mr.
right.
Portland Estates? Is anybody coming?
that's not quite the analogy I was looking for.
You-
Oh, no, I mean,
using
someone
your
from Keach Nordstrom, it's supposed to be.
official position
I don't know, I think we
to
just want us
advance
to okay
unknown
the,
in this case.
Yeah, it
With
says
the
board
bond
discuss.
reduction.
Okay.
With Rick?
As a select.
Well.
Pulling chain.
I was gonna say, you think I would care if I get reappointed again?
Oh, you didn't know? Us is a lifetime appointment? You're not getting out of it that easy.
Okay, next.
Well, next I have the Keats Nordstrom bond reduction, Cortland Drive thing. I must have left all that stuff in my truck.
do you want my copy? Does any, or you have to share it with Neil, though? Oh, no, they might, there's
Actually, I
copies
looked at
there.
it, and I don't really have a problem.
Nope, there's,
with it. We
that
never-
looks like there's extra copies there.
Look at this, I brought all these copies along.
Jeez.
Aren't I good? Thank you, ma'am.
You are.
Yeah, this we got.
You
Yeah.
can share mine for now.
I looked at
Till I
it.
get-
I didn't see any,
Yeah.
unless we wanna take a site walk, I don't see any issues. I trust
well,
Mr. Keach.
we hire them, so we don't have to take a sidewalk,
Right.
don't we?
Yep.
The only thing is they need a
Are we
recommendation.
they are working, Keach is working for us?
Yes.
Yes.
Keach is our inspecting slash reviewing engineer on all projects
Yeah.
that he doesn't do.
Steve has
Yes.
been doing it.
He's not designing it, he's reviewing it and inspecting it.
If this is their recommendation, if they're okay with it, then I'm okay with it.
How much does this save the landowner?
What do you mean?
Well, I assume the reason for doing this is that it costs money to have a performance bond. And if the performance bond is in a smaller rather than a larger amount,
He's
it
got,
costs less.
he's got a bond with us for 300 and some odd thousand, almost $400,000.
Which, so he, if, to the extent that he reduces it by half, let's say,
Well,
wouldn't his
the
premium?
proposal is 156,000,
56.
leaving us 214,151.99.
Right, but from his point of view, the reason for reducing it is to reduce
He
the
wants money.
premium.
No, he wants money. He wants money back in his pocket.
Do you have cash bond?
He put up this in cash?
I don't know what he put it up, but he wants that, basically, it's money back to him is what he's looking for.
I always thought these were bonds, not actual
Some are.
cash deposit.
Some are, some aren't.
So if it's a bond, his premium would go down because it's a smaller bond.
Yep.
That's right.
It's money back to him is what he's looking for. He's looking to recoup some money by getting the bond reduced.
Is that a recommendation, Chuck?
I'm in favor of it, actually.
That's a recommend, that's a motion?
Motion, yeah. You know, I look at Steve's report. In fact, I spoke to him. It's
I
funny.
did too, I talked to him after.
I spoke to him last Thursday about it. And I happened to run into him someplace else, and I think that, you know, what he's got here, and going over it, I don't think is that far out of line. And if he's recommending it, and he's the one that's working for us, looking out for our welfare, I think we ought to follow his recommendation. I'll make a motion on that for the Cortlandt Avenue subdivision, that we return part of the, reduce the performance bond by the amount of $156,754.76, thus retaining to the town of Weare to hold for surety $214,151.99 for the rest of the project.
Second.
Can we add per a letter dated October 4th by Keith Norton Associates? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want these all back?
Yeah.
If you want some back.
I gotta step down from the next application, Mr. Fillmore.
Voluntary merger?
Yes.
What do you get stuff down for voluntary merger for?
You got some,
Oh, that's a little shady.
Yeah, that's why I'm stepping down.
you have something on this?
And then we got the road one after that.
I'm just gonna leave that off.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is application for voluntary merger for James and Kimberly Allett for property at Horse Spring Hill Road. Merger of 3 lots on tax map 409. It's these 3 here.
7, 5,
This has been
5.
that horse, the real steep road here that we're
yeah.
having trouble with.
So what's the consequence of this merger?
Then it's now 1 lot, so
Yeah,
we don't have to worry about it anymore.
And therefore,
2 less houses going in there.
is there, if the merger's approved, is there still access to the lot?
I think
That
the
has-
state, they did a driveway up here to get to one of them anyway. Right off-
Get-
off
Basically,
River
if he
Road.
gets to one, he can get to all of them.
Yeah, but it was gonna
But,
be,
but it's only gonna be 1 lot now, so what they're basically saying is if we can't have 3, let's not pay taxes on 3.
essentially it, yeah.
Okay.
They're trying to put it all in one.
Is there any reason that this shouldn't be approved?
No,
No?
Move that the application for a voluntary merger by James and Kimberly
Allett,
Allett,
All that, yeah.
Allett,
who live at 42 Eastman Way in Weare, for map 409, lots 170, 169, and 168, and that the 3 merged lots will now be 1.
Second.
second by Jack, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
One recusal.
unanimous. Unanimous. The lots are merged.
Make sure the minutes reflect that Craig stepped down.
I already did.
And that he recused himself.
Reminding me that.
Step back in again.
Now you can back in.
I
Every ball was still.
Nice.
You can tell your clients that we
Yeah,
turned
I
it
gotta sign
down.
this, do I have to sign this?
I'm not gonna sign it.
I thought there was.
Did I give you my September 26th? I did.
Second page, I think.
On the back.
Well, that's just weird.
I thought there was a place for the planning board to sign it.
No, it's,
It used to be.
oh, really?
Yeah.
The voluntary merger is just a formality for the planning board, so I'll attach the minutes to it so they have something to record if that's what you're looking for.
I used to sign them.
Really?
That was before the whole mortgage thing came about, though.
Oh, yeah, before the RSA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just.
So let's talk about roadways.
Wonder why he's here.
I guess the TV reception isn't very good. I don't know.
So I made copies of Jack's sample for this. Is that what you want to discuss? Is
Yeah.
It is?
thought so.
Oh, roadways, yeah, with the
Oh, I lied,
class
I only
6.
made
and-
one copy.
Planning board says board, or the agenda says board to discuss subdivision regulations as it relates to road width and driveways.
Well, I thought Jack wanted to bring this up too, along with
Put that
subdivision.
in, but I
and
think that,
roadway.
I don't know if we have,
Does that go with it? No?
I think that can go into our
Building code.
building code, is what we talked about
Okay,
before.
well, subdivision has driveway permit applications and.
Yep, and I think putting that with the building code, so when they go to pull a permit,
Okay.
they give them a copy of the checklist. I think that's what we should do and adopt that.
Did the selectmen adopt it?
If that's what you want to do, yeah, we'll adopt it, or I'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Okay, because I'll just have to.
Yep.
Take it in a Word doc and put wherever
Yep.
it says Keenan and stuff.
What did that do, Jack?
What it does is it gives a formal checklist and a form to be filed with any paperwork on lots and subdivisions, on driveways, if they're gonna build up on class 6 roads, that they have certain things that they know that we are not liable for, such as the maintenance of the road, anything, there's no liability. The town is not held, as, basically, it's like a hold harmless.
But doesn't that facilitate and make more likely that lots will be approved on
Not
Class 6
necessarily,
roads?
no, it's on a case by case, it does not say that in there.
Yeah, but the fact is, when you establish a formal
You can't.
process,
You can't subdivide a class 6 road because it doesn't have any frontage.
Yep.
By definition,
That's
frontage is a
right.
class 5 or better.
but everybody who goes before the ZBA gets approved, right?
Go to the ZBA and get.
Well, I mean, there's a discussion, and the discussion with that is, yeah, they can. And then that kind of throws us into a crux, but we don't have anything to back it up in the town. Basically, you have what to say that you can't subdivide on a Class 6 road. And that's in the planning board regulations, but as far as our own town code, we really don't have anything for that. And, you know, it's been going along, and I think we need something to put in there, so when they come in, you know, we've now got the situation where Worthley Road's a driveway, so what are we gonna do with that? And we, you know, there's options, we either have to live with it, take the ZBA to court to say they can't do that, or the third option is to go before the legislative body of the town and file a warrant to have it dropped as a town Class 6 road. So basically, that, at that point, the way I understand it, the legality of it is the road is divided down the middle, and people on both sides of the road
That's right.
own it.
It's subject to gates and bars, is that?
No,
That's different.
That's a Class 6 road. So basically, you're turning it into a driveway, but anybody on that road that wants to take a piece of it can. It's no longer a town entity. They can own half on each half of the road. So you divide it down the middle, and everybody that owns lots on this side owns out into the middle. And
What
other
about the
end.
existing lots that are there? What happens to that?
That's added to their property.
No, but they have a driveway. That
Well, they've got
driveway-
that, so that's now an easement for them according to the ZBA. It's no longer our problem. If we drop that from the rolls as being one of our Class 6 roads, which you have to go before the planning board,
Technically, everybody that ever used that road would have rights to use it.
have rights to use that driveway.
If you walked on it, you still have rights to walk on it.
Yep. If you drove, if they give them a driveway permit to go 1,000 feet or 2,000 feet up that road, well, basically, it's now subject to anybody using it.
Why would we want to do that?
Well, why do we want to take a Class 6 road that's now got a 12-foot, change it from, say, it's a 2-rod road, down to a 12-foot wide driveway? Because the ZBA said that.
Can we restrict the power of the ZBA?
No, you have to take them to court. You'd have to take them to court, the Superior Court.
And what would be the basis of the suit?
That they turn around and on a Class 6 town road, they're restricting it to a driveway instead of what it is originally deeded or easement for it. Some of them are deeded, some of them are easements. That's a road laid out, and it's laid out in documents that it was a 2-rod road. And now they're saying, oh, no, we're gonna turn it into a driveway. Well, it's not a driveway, it's still, even though the town doesn't use and
You mean-
maintain it, it's still a town road.
The ZBA, in allowing subdivisions on that road, allowing lots to be created on that road.
No, they didn't allow lots to be created.
They're allowing
I'm sorry,
somebody to
they
get a
allow
building
lot to be
permit
accessed.
and access,
Allowing access to lots on that road.
and they want to build on it. And
Did
they've now
s-
given
did
them
so.
as a driveway.
Did so in a way that was not in compliance with the town's Class 5 road standards?
Well, what they've done is turned it into a Class 6 road. So now, technically,
You could
they've
say-
made it a driveway, so now that driveway's got frontage.
You could go something about against the master plan and all kind of things if you want
Yep.
to.
Master plan doesn't have a lot of clout, actually,
No,
but
not really, but you can.
you can
the
use
attorneys
it.
can-
Yeah, you can refer to
The
it.
right attorney can get things.
But you
going.
turn around, and now, if you turn it into just a driveway, driveway, you need frontage to have a driveway, so now he's saying, okay, the ZBA saying you're down where it starts, is now giving it the frontage as a driveway instead of being off that Class 6 road.
But the town still owns it.
The town still owns it, but we've got to live with it as a driveway.
Well,
But-
not necessarily. You could build a road there if you wanted, right?
Yeah, if you want to go build it, but I don't think that's what we want to do.
No, I don't think it is
No.
either, but you could do it.
Yeah.
So what would this ordinance do to that situation?
It would take some of the teeth out of the ZBA doing that, because they'd have something, a document. There's no documents now. Who's to say it's a Class 6 road? They've turned it into a 12-foot wide driveway. At some point in time, a piece of equipment has to get up there. Or they don't have to build the road up to any real standard, except to a driveway standard, which is less than what you bring it up to a Class 5 road standard.
But if I were on the ZBA, all I would say is, yeah, we'll continue our business, our practice as usual, and just so you know, you have to comply with the selectmen's ordinance.
Yeah.
So
But
nothing
now-
changes.
But, well, we'll have an ordinance, which we really didn't have.
But the ordinance simply validates that it's okay to do this.
No. The ordinance, or the rules
Yeah.
for getting a permit and for the building code says, no, you have to do this. There's a whole checklist. It's not saying that you're gonna get a ZBA waiver, and there's nothing, you could turn around and pass something, it's not gonna stop the ZBA from giving them a waiver.
So you're saying that if, once the ZBA says, yes, you can have access, then this new ordinance comes into effect?
Well, it might
and
turn
says-
around and say, no, that, you can't just take a Class 6 road and turn it into a
So
driveway.
you could say, in this ordinance, and of course, the ZBA action would have to be subject to this ordinance, or rule, that,
They don't have to be subject to a lot unless
but you could say in
they
this.
can override it.
That
That's why they give you variances.
they could override you again on that?
Oh, yeah. They've got the authority to do that.
So you could say that any person having access has to build his access up to Class 5 standards. Let's
Right.
assume you said
Yeah,
that.
if they're gonna build off of that, one of the requirements is
So
they bring it to Class 5
I'm one of these
standards.
guys, so now I go back to the ZBA and say I want a variance from that?
Yeah, and then they give you a driveway permit.
The only thing is, you do realize this says unless there was a subdivision plan recorded, basically.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of them.
The hard part is gonna be, okay, there's no subdivision plan
Why
filed.
take that section out?
I'm not sure you can do that.
Yeah.
Where is that one?
Bottom of the first page. Yes. Effectivity? How you pronounce it?
Yes?
A, the road is on a subdivision plat approved by the planning board after March, in our case, 7th, 1972. And B is the road is shown on a subdivision plat approved by the selectmen prior to March 7th, 1972. And was constructed prior to July 23rd, 2004, which was the date of the RSA. And has another building on the same lot, or has a building on
But a
another
lot of
lot.
those lots on Class 6 Road don't have anything on file that it was a lot prior to 1972.
Unless sometimes, some
Guy-
places you'll
the
go
guy
back,
who just did the merger did.
yeah, but some places you'll go
Yeah, I
back
looked that
into,
up for them.
you'll go and look at deeded property, and I've seen it from back in the 20s. And it's out there and there's no road to it, there's a path, and the only other access is by water, because there's a lake.
Right.
And it's recorded at the registry
Yep.
as being a building lot. If somebody owns it as a building lot.
Okay.
And if they get septic approval, okay, so we have to cut everything in with a four-wheeler down the goat path, because that's all there is, or bring it in by boat. There's not much you can do to stop it if they get approval
That's
for
what he
the
wants to
septic
do.
and they had a dug well.
That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, so, and it's on stilts, but it's, they put it on sonotubes, it's just a
So
seasonal
you
cottage.
just can't enforce this policy if there was no road in existence prior
Well,
to 72.
Yeah, if they turn around, like I said, the only other alternative is you could give the road up, that's what I'm saying, you could
Oh, yeah,
file a
that's one of
petition.
the last things on there, that you don't get a CO unless it's been brought up to town.
Standards.
Right.
But, okay, so you don't get a CO, but you're gonna give them a CO for a driveway that's what was that driveway, 1,000 feet?
Yeah.
2,000 feet?
Yeah.
Almost a half a mile.
Why do you have to give them a CO?
Well, I mean, now it's a driveway, it's not a road.
But why do you have to do that if your standard is Class 5?
But we got overridden by that by the ZBA. He said you don't need to build it up, all you need to build it to driveway standards. So when you build it to driveway standards, it's 12, and
You know, it might,
the highway superintendent's here, what's the driveway standard, 12 feet? Yeah, 12 foot.
12 is 16 foot clear.
Technically 16 feet, but only 12 is gonna be maintained
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, that's right, 12 foot of maintained roadway. So I mean, and now it's kind of, okay, you've called it a driveway and it's been down at the end, so now the driveway's got frontage. Whereas before, if you did it from his property line, from the wall, build the road up, it's a town road, so now you get, to get a driveway, you gotta come.
He can build a Class 5 road to Class 5 standards over that Class 6 part. It does not make it a Class 5 road.
No, I know it doesn't, but I'm saying now he's got a driveway, because now they're calling it a driveway, not the Class 6 road. So I mean, it's a conundrum.
how can you have a driveway, which normally is your own property, on a town
They
property?
gave him the right to have a driveway there.
But it's no more his than it is yours.
That's right. I sat there for 2 days with most of the legal minds that do this, on Friday and Saturday. One of them was our town attorney
Where was this?
in Concord.
And he told you this?
And
was-
basically, we're out of luck. The ZBA has done that, and we're out of luck with it. Unless we take it to Superior Court, or the other alternative is to take this Class 6 road and drop it from the rolls as a town road. In other words, you have to go to the town meeting, put a petition in to dissolve that as being a Class 6 town road, and to turn that back in, to split up with the property owners.
So,
Can I ask a really dumb question? If it's Class 6 road, yes, it's owned by the town.
Yep.
Yes, the town has rights. The town's rights are not any different if somebody's using it for a driveway or not.
Yeah. But we've kind of, but I mean, at this point, we've lost some rights to enforce.
No, you haven't, no, you haven't, no, you haven't lost any
No
rights.
at all.
Why?
The town has not lost
We have
any rights.
don't we have a standard about roads that if they bring it up?
The town has the right to use that road
Yeah.
today, just like it could have
Well, I mean, it's
5
like,
years ago.
which we don't,
Right.
because we have
But if you run
basically,
to want a sewer line down it, or electric line, or
Yeah.
gas line, or whatever down that road, you could.
we can do that.
Yes, it's your road.
But to turn around and we're not
Put a
gonna,
rec- put a recreational trail down it, whatever you want to do.
yep. But now we've kind of lost a little bit of it because it's a driveway.
No,
If the guy turns around, say the homeowner decides he wants to pave that,
Thank you.
well, no, because what standard is he gonna hold it up to?
New subdivision.
Is he gonna, well, it's his driveway, it's not a subdivision.
I know.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying, it's a conundrum, it's like, it's some of it you're chasing your tail. It's,
Yeah.
Drescher looked at this,
yes,
and he says it's a good idea.
yeah. And some of that stuff we should have had in place a long time ago.
Yeah,
Let's talk
especially-
only about future, not
Yeah,
about
but I
what's
mean,
already
some
been
of them, I'm
done.
just saying, what he said, we should do that, and it's something that we should have had done a long time ago.
If you adopt this, then in the future, how will things be different than they were in the
They
past?
won't get the first base with any unless they meet what's in that checklist. There's a checklist in there.
Go to the ZBA.
Yeah, they go to the,
Well, I don't think they can do, the ZBA, I don't think can waive all of that stuff. I mean, you go look at what the checklist is in there. It's got all this stuff in here, what the state fire code does, they can't
So if
waive
you deny a
that.
building permit on a Class 6 road,
You know, what the suggested minimum design standards are for rural subdivisions,
Your
which is the
denial
state's
is
idea.
that.
Is the notice of limits of
Right.
municipal
No.
responsibility.
Assuming it passes
We
everyone.
don't,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
go down,
no, I
there, there's a
understand,
lot of
but
that's not
that
filed.
could, that could protect us, I got that.
Oh,
But
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
talking about
it has a
avoiding
whole
this.
bunch of stuff which says we should do, from permits for class 6 and private roads. There's a
What's
whole,
that in the
there's a
variance?
section for all that, and it goes down and gives
No,
you all the
it's
stuff
just
that we
easier.
should do. And there's been no fault,
Easier
there's nothing for
As a
that.
practical matter,
No,
though, if I
can't
had,
It's a
issue
housekeeping
CO
matter. I
unless
mean,
that's done,
this
not a
isn't gonna
building
prevent me
permit.
from getting my,
My-
Good.
my
Come to me
driveway.
for a building permit.
You know, you're gonna say, listen, this is what they have to have, this is what we've adopted, this is what they agree, and
No, that's just-
why are we turning around and operating
No, that's
class
just-
6 roads as driveways? I
After
mean,
your building permit's been
okay,
issued.
it's now a driveway, they take the middle of it, and take,
Yeah, that's after
divide
your
it
permit's been
6 feet
issued.
from the center line, for argument, and then they start building out in our right-of-way, which we have
For
that
part
going
of your
on now
building
in
permit
some
for a
roads, what are we
driveway.
gonna do then?
Because I can't give you a building permit unless you have a driveway.
So, could they subdivide on that?
No.
No.
You know, that was my concern with that road, because that, the road, in particular, Worthley Road, there's lots that back up to that, and then we just looked at a couple of lots. And what's to prevent somebody from saying, oh yeah, now that they've done that, oh, I'm gonna go build up and put another road in the back end of my lot in there? The subdivisions, that's a subdivision on the other side, which is on a town road, so now we're opening it up on both ends.
No, you can't.
Oh, I wouldn't say can't, because I mean,
It's denied, scattered and premature, sorry, right away, bang. out of here.
that's for us.
Right, but
Yeah,
you said
but-
subdivision.
but it's
But
not
not, but
for
the
the
ZBA,
ZBA.
exactly.
You said subdivision.
yeah, but now is a
But
subdivision on
they're
the
gonna
other
go to the
side.
ZBA, once they're turned down here,
What's
they
the,
go to
what's
the
the road on the
ZBA.
bordering side?
Come
What's
back
the
to
other
the
road of
subdivision.
Worthley Road
Come
that's
again.
not, that is a town
ZBA
road?
does not approve a subdivision, even after we
What's that?
deny it.
River Road,
No, you got Worthley Road off of,
Haven, or,
and there's the next road down, it goes up, and those lots are on there that back up into it.
Not Roosevelt, Huntington?
So I'll have to look at the map. But anyways, that's a town road. I mean, what's to say that's already subdivided? What's to say, well, I want access to the back end of my lot?
For driveway permit.
There already is a driveway there, so they're just connecting into the driveway that's already existing.
Okay.
So why do they have to get a driveway permit to get into another driveway?
The
They can
ordinance,
deal with the guy.
the ordinance that you're talking about is something the selectmen adopt, is that correct?
Yeah, it's gonna be part of the building code, so when they get a permit, or they come in to apply, they'll have to fill out that, and that thing about relief of municipal liability should be filed on every one of these things that we do, and they have them.
That was part of the variance.
Huh?
That's been part of the variance.
Yeah, but I'm saying lots of times it isn't adhered to or it isn't done. I mean, we've gone back
Oh,
and
well,
looked,
that's-
Chip was going back and looking for some of it, and we couldn't find copies of it
That's
anyway.
Chip's, that's Chip's fault.
Well, some of them weren't done by anybody.
But, so this would be
It's
done
like
in.
maintenance agreements, and maintenance agreements go out on these class 6 and private roads, and the next thing you know is that nobody
is going
adheres
to-
to them, and they want us to come and do something about it.
This limitation of liability on the town's part is going to be filed with a deed or something?
That's right. That gets filed with the paperwork.
And let's see, if I were an insurance company selling homeowners insurance,
I'm
and I saw this,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, I mean, a lot of insurance companies and mortgage companies in the past wouldn't give people a mortgage to build on a road like that, on class 6 roads. They made them jump through a whole bunch of hurdles. And, you know, they don't like it because of this, for obvious reasons, you know, fire protection being one of them, is the biggest one, you know. I mean, if you're 20 feet from the intersection of a class 5 road, you're just up on the class 6 road for like 20 or 30 feet where you pull into your lot, okay, that is not as.
Have you heard of?
Okay, so now 20 or 30 feet's all right. Well, I want to go.
No, but I'm saying if they're, but I'm saying to get, I'm saying,
Emergency
looking at it
vehicles.
from the perspective of, you know, being able to build up there, having an insurance company or mortgage company, but I mean.
Have you heard of any people who complained, you know, I got my building permit, but I can't get insurance for my house, fire insurance?
We don't get into that, so.
You haven't heard, I know,
No.
but you haven't heard of anything.
I've heard of people that have paid a lot steeper premiums because of it, a lot steeper premiums.
Or no
Well, yeah,
fire
look at
protection.
anything on an island in Winnipesaukee.
Yeah, it's like being on the, even though you got water all around you.
Yeah.
That was just brought up too, because one of the towns, which I was surrounded by at that meeting, they were all from the lake. I don't know if they had to file a notice because they had more than a quorum there. Sitting at the same table, no less. But they turned around and they wanted to know how they could regulate putting docks stuff like that in, and they can't. That's the state's purview. But between, comes out of Marine Patrol and DES to put docks, and they have to get approved and permitted, so that's not up to the,
Wetlands Board.
that's not up to, in the wetlands, but to DES. to put
But
in
most of
docks.
those docks have electricity on them, right?
That comes under the electrical code. Not all of them do, some don't.
Some have motorized boat lifts and things
Yeah,
like
but
that.
that's,
The selectmen could regulate those.
no, that still comes under the purview of the electrical board and the
Really?
fire marshal's office, through the electrical board and stuff like that. Because they now have a stricter standard due to the fact that some of them were put in slipshod, and what was it? They've had, in the past 2 years, they've had like about 8 people get electrocuted because of that, because of the electricity at the docks. Improper grounding,
Electrocuted meaning dying?
Yeah, they get in the water and they get zipped because of the electricity running out on the dock is grounding into the water now.
So you guys are gonna adopt this?
Yep.
Okay. Now back to what I was talking about,
Okay,
the subdivision regs,
yeah.
as it relates to road width and road widths. The reason we have a member.
That's why we have an interested party in
That's
the
why we still have
audience.
somebody in the audience, yes. I know he was fairly adamant the other night, a couple weeks ago, about the road width of 20 feet being too narrow, and was willing to get compromised with 22, if I remember his wording right.
Yeah, I measured from mirror to mirror on a plow truck today, with just a regular truck with factory mirrors, and it's 10 feet from mirror to mirror on a truck.
Without the,
Two trucks meet, that's 20 feet if you leave enough room for a piece of paper in between them.
and the front.
Yeah, but the wheels are not 10 feet.
No. But you have the. but
Mirrors
you-
are.
But you can,
You wanna keep them, they're pretty expensive.
if you drove the truck slightly toward the edge, you'd have more than a paper's width between the mirrors.
Well,
Guess if you're a good driver.
the other
Yes.
thing is, Neil, is that you get a road plow, it's on the front of these trucks, those are 11 feet.
And that's on a straight stretch.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't, you
11
meet on a
feet.
corner, then
That's
it's
what it
even.
is, from edge to edge is 11 feet.
So,
So it's a foot out beyond.
But they've been plowing roads that are narrower than that for decades.
Yeah,
Well,
and
with
they
the
didn't have
trucks
the
like
traffic.
that though, Neil, and the traffic and
Traffic.
stuff.
I've been in the truck, and I'll tell you, you've got to get in the truck and go ride with them in a storm, and I mean in a storm. And
My
I've been
problem with
narrow
this whole
road, meet
thing,
somebody, it's
my
put your
problem
heart
with
in
this whole thing is the rate of deterioration of the road. That's the whole thing, and I still have a hard time believing that I'm the one person up here fighting to, not have to go back and ask taxpayers prematurely for money to fix a road. Should have been fixed right, built right to begin with. You take roads that have
so did you look at this?
been under
Did
this.
you look at
Did
this?
you, I was gonna say,
I took a look, yeah.
the same thing. Did you look at all this?
Not all of it, but I looked at your sliding scale there.
You got to the 20-foot pavement width, and that was all the further you got.
That's right. That's all I care about.
Because I'm surprised.
take
you're-
a rolling
I'm
hill-
surprised you aren't concerned about the 100-foot center line radius.
Like that.
That's gonna have people driving their shoulder just as much as your 20-foot wide
Yeah,
road.
I don't, but I mean, I can't seem to win this one, so I'm gonna pick my one at a time.
Well, yeah, but
You know?
I'm not gonna, I don't think I'm gonna go along with revising subdivision regulations every 6 months for that one little line item here.
I don't know why you guys changed them at all. You take a rolling hills, for instance, that's got the corners you guys want and everything. It's got 24 feet of pavement, and that road was built quite a while ago, and it's in good,
And rolling hills would not change per these regulations.
and it's in good condition
And the rolling hills would be the same.
because of the house number, but you could,
What number is that? That's page. Page
you
20.
take your number of houses to narrow up your road there, less pavement. Rolling hills, I understand, because the number of houses you got onto the traffic, count for however however you figure it,
Well,
10 cars
look
per
at,
house.
how many houses are in Cortland?
13,
14.
14.
That's the max when it's fully built out.
Right.
What's the width of that road?
24.
24.
Speaking of which, not to get off subject, is the depth of that pavement gonna be checked before the town adopts that road?
That's Mr. Keach's job, yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's been dug out and I know.
It's had potholes patched on it already, so. I was there the day it was being paid.
Already?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, not to get off subject, I'm sorry.
Well, some of
Let
that,
Mr. Keach know that, please.
Back,
How deep?
The only reason I mentioned Cortland was because that would fall under the middle, the local.
be 22, right?
That'd be 22 instead of 24.
Anything less than 10 houses would be 20, and I don't think that's a reasonable width. I'd like to see leave it right at 24, but probably gonna lose that argument, so I'm trying to meet you in the middle. And I know we rebuild a lot of our roads at 22. I would do them at 24. We don't have the right of way enough. In between the stone walls, creating ditch lines, all that. Subdivision, they own a piece of land and do whatever they want, whatever you make them do.
I'm gonna
And they
stick-
clear
I'm gonna
all
stick- I'm gonna stick my 2 cents into your roads right now.
Yeah.
You got too steep, you should narrow up your roads and flatten out your slope going into the ditch,
For what reason?
because you're losing your compaction into the ditch. 'Cause
It's
you don't, also, in some places, you almost have a vertical side slope.
Where I can't get a ditch line, yeah. I have my gravels compacted all the way to the outside of my
Oh,
shoulders.
yeah, well, yes, but 5 years later, it's not. It's softened out. 'Cause you
Very
don't have
few
it.
places. But it's only where the road's too narrow to do other.
Exactly, I know that.
But that is because it's existing right away.
I understand.
If I was left
I
with
told you I was gonna
60
get off track when I
acres,
started that conversation.
So if we change that one number, 20 to 22, you'd be okay.
Be all right, yeah,
And you leave the rest of it alone for a while?
for a while, yeah.
till the next new development goes.
I mean, you guys must know what I put up with. I think if you answered my phone, you'd feel differently. I sat in Mr. Bolton's chair right there and got absolutely slaughtered last fall about a road that was built to substandards that I wasn't even born yet when it got built. I take the heat, and some poor sap after me is gonna take the heat for these, and it's just,
that one was.
it's just, I don't think we should let them off the hook. You clear a piece of land, you don't leave a tree on it, everyone paves their driveways, basketball courts, all that. I'm just not selling me on the
Pavement on the
aesthetics from
desk.
20 feet to 24 feet or 22 feet, or
Did
just,
come in and dumped a big chunk of pavement right on the desk at the selectmen's meeting.
so. I mean, there's two things I stay up past 8 o'clock for. One's football, and it happens to be on tonight, so I obviously care about, I obviously care about this to
Kick
be
off-
in here
kick off in 2
arguing about
minutes.
this, you know what I mean? I mean, it,
You know it's not Green Bay because he'd be out.
Yeah, we'd be done.
He's the
Oh,
Green
not
Bay.
again.
Yeah, he did that the last meeting. I'm leaving. Bye, it's Green Bay.
I didn't say that, I declared something and.
Yeah, he declared
walked
that the
out.
meeting was over.
Yeah,
there's a few other things in there I don't like. I've learned to pick
What
my
else?
battles over.
what else?
Well, I think the, the center line sharpness of the corners, like you said, you're gonna be off on the shoulder, breaking up the inside of the corners. And when two vehicles meet, somebody's gonna have to get off the inside, especially trucks. But if you make them 2 feet wider, that will help.
What else? Assuming we go to 22. What else?
I didn't read the whole thing word for word. Those are the two things I don't like the most. A couple things I do
you-
appreciate. I do like
you got-
your
you-
mailbox depots. Finally, we got an input in.
This is your chance.
The mailbox depot.
Yeah,
Kiosk it's called. but that's
Kiosk.
okay.
That way you've only got to replace one big.
that's right.
Why was it changed? I don't want to start opening up a whole can of worms.
Why was it changed?
Yeah, why was it
To make
changed?
more rural, curvy, pretty roads.
And when it first started, the proposal was 16 feet, not 20.
16.
Right, but that's crazy. I mean,
No,
We said that as well at the time.
some of us said that,
Oh, but one of us said that.
16 foot is crazy.
and some of us were forced to compromise.
Yes.
But again, the whole intention here is that the small subdivisions,
Mhm.
4, 5, 6 lots, they don't need 24-foot wide roads going through them. The chances of two plow trucks being up a road that's 500 feet long is slim to none.
Right, but a plow truck and a FedEx or UPS or,
Oil truck, gas truck.
I mean, you can go on any road. The other day I was working and I saw two Irving trucks, a Dead River truck, I mean, the oil trucks are just steady, you know?
Yep.
Same company runs this,
Tis the
runs
season.
more than one truck, so. And,
So if we increase the pavement width to 22, then I really, I don't want to change anything else until we at least get one built, so we see what, because it's going to create something that's hopefully going to be appealing. But we don't want to make it so it's not maintainable for you.
But
I don't disagree with your wanting to make something appealing. I just, creating a subdivision to me isn't rural anyway.
Well, and that's what we're trying to change.
I mean, put a regulation on allowing subdivisions if we're going to go that route, is my argument. I mean, I've never seen, I'm a logger on the weekends. I've never seen a subdivision, there's one tree left. Is there any rules on how many trees are gonna be left for aesthetics looking? I mean, it,
No, but I've seen lots of subdivision trees left on it.
well, not in Weare.
Well, Cortland didn't have any decent trees to
No, it didn't. And I don't have a problem having all the trees cut. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that argument kind of doesn't stand up with that, myself, in my opinion.
We're gonna say, you know, we're talking about rural character here, apparently. And yet, when you drive in one of these new subdivisions, I guess everybody has a different definition of rural character. The houses in no way do they represent rural character. They're a whole new breed of houses, should I say.
They're cookie cutter houses. They all look the same, pretty much.
So I don't think you've really taken much away with the wider width in those particular houses. The other thing being, maybe there's another option. I would think that an 18-foot road and a 6-foot trail for walking or biking or something like that would enhance those subdivisions.
That's safety problems. The thinking was that way for a while, but then people started on bicycles and walking, started getting hit. So now they want, if you're gonna have a walking trail or a biking trail, that you gotta have a curb in between them.
You gotta either
They want a
mark.
curb.
Yeah.
That was
That's
almost
what
brought up to
regulation-
me, was
Well,
what if
they
I
do is
talked to
they
you
have
guys
a
about
mark.
leaving at 24 and striping?
Marked bike
Yeah.
lane,
The
which
bike
is in the right of way.
People that-
And then you have
people-
to have a curb
I didn't want to volunteer for striping, so that's why I didn't bring it.
sidewalk.
Well, I'll
No,
tell
they-
you,
The thing about striping
I've
is it does slow
seen
people down.
many recent times, I've
And
seen
it's
many of
the
them striping.
curvy
But it
roads.
doesn't, I don't
Right,
disagree
yeah,
with that.
you
I
can do
wish
that.
I had
Right,
means.
But to
stripe
put pedestrians, you
Let's
gotta
try
have
to keep
curb.
one or two conversations at the same time, not four
Then
or
if you,
five.
now you run into the other ring. If you put sidewalks in,
We aren't going there.
No, because
No,
then you
forget
close
it.
drainage and all
well,
that.
no,
It
that,
creates a
then
whole
you have to
problem.
maintain the sidewalks.
No, he's not gonna plow
That's
one of
that's
those
what
little
the
trucks
other
to
thing
plow
you
the
do for
sidewalk.
people
He's
to
not gonna
walk
do it.
on.
I
So,
would
I
have
mean,
screamed if I'd have saw that in.
That's a whole different.
That's a whole different
Animal.
kettle of fish you start to open up.
I'm not opposed to trails in a cluster subdivision somewhat around, near the buffer that the association has to maintain.
Oh, like some of them that go out behind the houses is like places you'll see a trail, a
Yeah.
paved walking path out behind,
Yeah.
you know, out by the buffer, like you said, out along by the buffer and, yeah, that's,
So what do you think, Benji?
I'm a compromising type of guy.
You saw the two things I wrote down. Since I handed you my pieces of paper, you see them.
Yeah,
One of us-
I
one of
would
us crossed
I
out
would
the-
appreciate that consideration. We can see how one works, you know?
I wrote down 150-foot centerline radius and 22 feet.
It'd be appreciative. I think that would save your pavement on, and that's what I'm trying to save. That's what costs money when you rebuild a road. It isn't the gravels, it isn't anything else, it's the pavement. That's what I'm responsible for asking the taxpayers to give me money for. And I want to put that initial cost on the contractor that builds the road.
Yeah, we're trying to, we got the mailboxes in there, we got the underground power. I mean,
That's great.
you know,
That's terrific.
We tried to attack the whole thing, not
Yep.
just piecemeal it.
No, I know you did. I just, yeah.
And you mentioned last time that something about you weren't part of the process. I don't think you were DPW director when we started this.
Maybe not.
I really don't think you were. That's how long we worked on this.
If you really think when you meet an oil truck or any type of vehicle, rather if you stopped right where you were and took a tape measure and measured and said, yes, there is room enough, it still doesn't matter. You always kind of shy away on a corner. Everybody cuts corners. you know, and it busts the pavement up, so.
Was I supposed to contact the fire chief or were you?
Yeah, we got to do that about the cistern part.
About the cistern part.
What was the discussion on the driveways? Was anything might be interesting in that to me?
I didn't have it on my to-do list, so
Must have been on mine.
must have been on yours, but I can
I
if
didn't do it.
if I'm
And change
talking
the
to him
aprons,
about
that's the
the-
only thing I care about is aprons, right?
Yeah, we're not switching it.
What, you want, make them out wider?
No, I don't care about that, just as long as there's an apron in there 8 feet, that's all I care.
I don't think it's in the subdivision regulations anymore,
The apron?
the driveways.
Oh, I thought it was in
It's
the
in the
back.
zoning,
Oh,
It's
yeah,
back
because we
in-
did a whole driveway section there a couple years ago.
yes. in zoning.
As long as it
We
continues
can't,
to pitch
we
back.
can't
and
change the driveway regulations without town vote.
It's in the building permit one.
Yeah.
I think they work pretty good anyway.
Well, I know one driveway you should get fixed, I'm not gonna say anything about it right now.
Oh, yeah.
So what
Yeah,
did,
it's
what did you
Article
want to
36.
ask the chief about the
Yes.
cisterns for subdivision reg?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need to change that, we need to update those, they're ancient.
Okay, I'll give
Yeah,
him,
like it
I'll give him a
says
copy of it and he can put his input.
15,000, NFPA says 30 is the
Yeah,
minimum.
well, yeah, it says 10,000 gallons, I know it should
What
say
page
30.
is it, do you know?
I thought it was 32.
Make it easy for me.
Yeah, the NFPA says 30, but the town ordinance says,
And we have to somehow
says
figure out
15.
how to incorporate sprinklers in there too. Other towns are
Well,
doing it.
yeah, but
So
this,
ways of doing
this,
it.
yeah, but there's, that's another league, that was brought,
Legislative is having a.
the legislature has kind of had that, if it's a commercial, they have to.
Waypoint 13, starting on page
It's like a
36.
I
multi-
think that
No,
would
no,
be great too,
not
because that,
require the sprinklers, but to give them as an option instead of cisterns.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true.
Run right
Some
off the
places do
domestic.
give you that
Right,
option.
right, each house can run right off the.
Other towns are doing that, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, for some of the
incorporate that.
smaller subdivisions,
Right.
they've been doing that, yeah.
it's a
Yep.
big cost to the town too, in the long run, cisterns.
Cisterns, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you convince
'cause
people
in-
to sprinkle, that's,
Yeah, 15 or 20 years later, it's gonna be expensive, replacing these cisterns.
But,
Fix it.
but you start limiting the square footage
again,
of the
this-
houses.
Explain why cisterns, if you have a sprinkler system, wouldn't you also need cisterns?
I believe the homeowner is responsible for the water.
No, I understand
Small one
that,
in the house, yes.
but if the,
The sprinklers are
If-
designed to do what the cisterns are essentially designed to do. Put water on the fire for 30 minutes.
So you get enough there to keep,
but I thought the sprinklers were designed to delay the spread of the fire to allow the family to evacuate, not
Basically.
necessarily to
put it out. No, it is, it's to help
Right, so.
press it somewhat so the people can get
The whole thing,
out.
the NFPA, the whole thing is about life safety.
Life
It's
safety.
not about saving buildings, none of it.
So,
Cisterns, anything, not about saving buildings, it's about life safety.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's the sprinkler system, it's like, that was the big argument.
so the house
over-
burns down then?
Right, who cares? As
Possibly.
long as the people get
As long as
out.
the people get out. You can replace
That
the,
whole code is based on that theory.
there was one of the big arguments with the new highway garage. Oh, yeah, well, you're gonna save the building. No, it's gonna help anybody that's there get out, you know, and it may suppress enough of it. It may not
And
spread as
sprinklers
much.
do that with a lot less water than a cistern requires.
That's right.
Because they start immediately, where the fire department takes 15 minutes to get there.
And then hook
That
into
15
it,
minutes is the most critical part of the fire.
first 12
You're
minutes.
putting the water on the fire, not everywhere.
Right.
You know, the cistern is basically like a giant pond that you get a pipe into and you hook onto it and you suck the water out of it. That's what it boils down to.
But we don't need to require sprinklers, we can't. But we,
Only in
I feel that
commercial,
we have to allow them
apartment
instead of
buildings
putting
and stuff like
cisterns
that.
in.
Has to be an option, yep,
Right.
yep.
In a lot of
And you
towns,
wouldn't
yes.
want to have both sprinklers and cisterns?
It's a waste of money.
Yep.
It's a it's a
mean-
huge waste of money.
If the homeowner, Of his own, just opts to put 'em
It's not
in.
what the intent of the NFPA is.
I think we should let the fire wardens talk about this.
yep,
Yeah. No, me too.
Okay,
and then give us the advice to put it in the planning
Right.
board regs. Upgrade it.
you're all set.
Alrighty.
You got 3 of us on your side, I think.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Benji.
good evening.
Okay, Ben.
Yeah, nobody cares.
They scored enough Sunday for 2 games,
That's
didn't they?
right, they did.
Yeah, they didn't look too good at the beginning, but they finished off pretty well.
So we got minutes.
No, we have
Yes, we
building,
do. What else we got?
building code ordinance. Isn't that on the agenda?
Yeah,
I thought we just discussed that.
Yeah, we did.
we did.
Oh, no, there's a lot more that I would like to change.
Uh-oh.
Do you not have your copy, or?
I think it's on my dashboard.
Okay, because everything refers to Boca, it is so outdated, and you're missing so much. But I thought what I would do is if I could just go with this and do what I would like to suggest, and then give you a copy marked up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Strike through
if
and strike through the old stuff. and all
I
that.
have, can then.
Kelly,
yeah.
there are two kinds of changes. One is a technical update change. It's not controversial, like you're changing Boca to something else. The other is if you're suggesting a substantive change.
I am.
So if you're suggesting a substantive change, that needs to be in a different color, or
Right.
however you're doing it
Yep.
from the other changes.
Yep,
Because
in a
we don't
public
need to read
hearing.
the other changes.
Okay.
We do need to read the substantive changes.
Yep.
She's gonna substitute Boca for whatever else is in there. We don't need to discuss
Okay.
that.
No,
We don't
there's,
need to
there's,
discuss it, but I'm gonna read it.
yeah.
That's up to
No,
you.
but there's other
Okay.
changes, because like the fee schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, you gonna get rid of the
Well, the fee
septic review
schedule, I
fee?
think you have to, like any of the fee schedules, you have to bring it for a public hearing.
It does have to go to a public
Yeah,
hearing,
That's right.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
And get rid of like this, 7 cents for a switch.
is this a proposal?
$6 for one vent pipe, yeah, just a flat,
The building code is where in our town's responsibilities? Selectmen?
yes.
Planning, selectmen?
Well, it's under zoning ordinance.
Some of it's
building-
zoning, some of it comes under,
I guess selectmen, whatever.
I thought it was selectmen.
in the selectmen, yeah. Some of it has to be,
And some of it's fire.
and some of it
Some
comes
of
under
it's fire,
Then
some
if
of
you-
it's driveway.
And if you're going to make the changes, you really should get the input of not just the planning board, but also the fire wards and whomever else has an interest in that.
She's gonna start with us, and we can make recommendations to. everybody else.
right.
Right,
Fair
it
enough.
starts
Some
here
of it
first.
does,
But it
some of it
it
doesn't.
winds up at the selectmen.
Yes,
and some of it does
Yes.
affect, the planning board.
but I've done the research on different towns on their fees, different towns on their policies. I received the New Hampshire Building Officials Handbook on how to write policies. So I'm kind of doing some research.
And then
at
some
home
of it has to
on
go, if there's
Aside
any
from
Well, I'm on
fees-
jury duty, I'll be reading.
Aside from fees, is there anything substantive that you're proposing to change?
Now, updating the codes,
Updating is,
yeah.
Updating instead of
Updating the
Boca,
codes and changing the
putting it
fees.
NFPA and
Yes,
all
and
that.
wherever it says, building inspector is now building department, because code enforcement is now part of your building department, not just the building inspector. So some of that job description
Is,
has to be rearranged.
There was another thing they talk about in notifications, that was one of the things that brought up, like you send out to people, registered mail.
Yes, if there's a procedure
And now
for
they're calling
violation.
now they're calling, instead of sending it out registered mail, that's what they call verifiable.
Yes, because an email is now
Yeah,
considered,
there's a
legal-
change,
a legal way.
in that, I know they discussed.
yeah. And there's two different paragraphs in there about penalty. One refers to an RSA and one refers to another RSA.
Yeah.
One is $275 a day per day, or $500 if it's corporation.
Yeah.
So
And that's
you
for the
just-
fine
You just kind of
schedule.
need to neaten it up a little bit.
And some of that, the fine schedule, that's set by legislative policy, so you can't change all that anyway.
state legislative or
Yeah, it's
town?
an RSA, they're referring to, revised statutes, the fines, if their fines are in there, that's up to the,
Right, it's an old one, they're not updated.
it
One's
depends
still-
on whether or not they've ever updated them.
So we can't set we can't set fees differently?
We can set fees, but if there's a violation, like she's saying.
Oh, yeah.
According to she's
So there's an
recording
RSI.
RSA,
Right, but I would like to have one.
277, you're gonna go, okay, this is what it says, either a minimum of $250 up to $1,000 or different ones.
$275 a day
Yeah,
per day
whatever.
for the day of the violation.
Yeah.
And if a corporation, you can double it. But
Double.
I would like to have some type of policy when you don't get that far, where if they've just built without a permit,
Yeah,
say for like the second or third time, then it could just be a flat rate. You don't have to go to $275 a day. It could be a different.
you'd have to
written
pass that as a
policy.
town ordinance, yeah, and that would go
Right, part of the procedure for,
for the procedure, and then the fine money would revert under anything that's fines by the RSA goes into the state, into the court system. And the way here is if it's a town ordinance and there's a fine associated with the town ordinance, it comes back to the town.
so I'll work on that if you don't mind.
Could you update us on the status of Mr. Phillips' property?
Is it
Have you
Phillips
taken
or
further
Phelps?
action?
Phillips.
Philip.
Philip.
Yeah, okay. 'Cause I've heard him called
Yep.
both. I was gonna say, I
Yep,
thought
I
it was.
sort of sent a very lengthy description of a violation letter to him,
Have you-
certified, and I have not heard back yet.
Have you heard back from DES?
No, I didn't. Gardner, yeah, he was the one that went up there the first time.
Yeah,
I
and
left
there's
a message.
I like that there's a test well up there with a pipe with with a lock on it, and it doesn't look like it's been touched, and
Yeah, but
It's
I
bent
just,
towards-
I just sent it certified. He has to sign for it. He has to go down to the post office, actually sign for it and send it back.
you know, the other thing is that he's got somebody living in a camp, that
In the
they,
van, yeah.
with illegal electrical running through the boondocks. And then on top of that, you know, he's close, so close to the, you know, he's close to that wetland.
Right. So I have to start off with a notification of the violation letter first.
But I saw the trucks heading in there today.
The Bedford trucks,
Packers,
the landscaping.
no, garbage trucks.
Oh,
They were headed in there today, this afternoon.
Minutes?
Minute. Which one are you on, the 12th or the 26th?
I'm on the 26.
Oops, that's with my minutes.
Now, did you say it's Philip or Phillips?
Phillips.
Phillips.
Okay. So there is more than one of them. Okay.
I just had them. You get the one for the site walk. Is that the one you're looking at?
no.
No, the other one,
Oh,
September 26th.
Is that the night the Packers lost?
Yes. It's the night the running back got a concussion in the first play of the game, and I missed it because I was here. But they scored a touchdown, I was in the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
So things did look up a little bit for a while.
Okay.
Number 5, proposed subdivision, Peacock Hill Road.
Yes, sir.
Peacock Hill Road LLC.
It's actually, third line down.
Okay,
Included these lots and discussion included that these lots would create 2 bowling alley style lots.
Bowling. Yeah, alley is missing.
Yeah.
And it's alley hyphen style lots. Continuing that fourth line up from the bottom in that paragraph 5, Mr. Kirk stated it should be moved that Mr. Kirk moved that this matter, strike 2, be continued, and then it should be stated not on, but continued to November 21st.
And there is no meeting November 21st.
What was
right?
the date?
Is it this
No,
year?
that is the meeting.
Oh, that is the date?
Yeah.
That's the date you
Yeah, I
told
was gonna
us.
say,
Well, when's Thanksgiving?
28th.
28th, the
Oh, okay.
following week. It's late this year.
I started doing next year's calendar, and then so next year you don't have one that week.
So everybody started back there in Roman numeral 5. Can I back up to Roman numeral 2?
Sure.
Can you make the title change of use site plan review? Number 3, can you make that subdivision review?
hold on,
Sorry, quick.
yeah. And 3 is,
Subdivision review. 6th line down. Starts out to be set, comma, state subdivision approval listed on the subdivision plan, not site plan. Next line down. After Thorndike, add road. that was all I had.
Don't you want to do something with 7?
I haven't got that far yet.
Oh,
Can
I
I
thought you
ask?
just said something about Thorndike Road.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Did they not accept the application on the site plan for Roma?
No,
No, we did not.
Okay. Which, so you don't have to deny it either? You just continue it?
Yeah, didn't we say we tabled any action on it at this time?
Yeah, I didn't notice any action on it, so that's why I asked, okay.
Conceptual review, that doesn't sound right, but discussed amongst the board, Mr. was a High Rock owned property?
What?
I don't remember that.
Which one are you at?
Roman numeral 6.
Discussed along was.
That was the Greco property, right?
Siciliano was a High Rock owned property.
Wasn't that Greco?
yes, it was.
Yes,
Greco, yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't High Rock was the name of the road.
so what should that be? A property owned by,
It was a Greco owned property.
who's, Greco?
That was the gentleman that owned
Yeah.
it.
So Mr. Greco.
Mr.
Yeah,
Greco,
Phil,
yeah.
Phil Greco.
Phil Greco.
And the acreage was 15 acres.
So it should
15
read,
acres.
discussed amongst, that's very British. Discussed amongst the board and Mr. Siciliano was a property owned by Philip Greco consisting of 15 acres.
That works.
Yep.
Number 7, Mr. Francisco declared the meeting over and walked out.
You don't need to put in the walked out
Oh,
part, but
okay.
you definitely need to put in that Mr. Francisco declared the meeting
Adjourned.
over at, adjourned at 9:05. There was no motion and all the rest of that disappears.
Yep.
Hey, it was 9:05. What do you expect? I missed an hour of the football game.
It's 8:45, so.
And out of,
Uh-oh.
on this number 5, where they need a wetlands permit, and then we told them to come back once they get it.
Mm-hmm.
When we, in the future, when we do that, because they need a variance, is there any chance that you could right away send this to the ZBA so that they know what we did?
oh, sure.
Because
I think you and I would know enough to take care of that from now on, at least for a while. I heard about that, too.
Move that the minutes of September 26, 2019 as amended be approved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There we go.
Which one do you have now?
Sidewalk.
sidewalk,
Oh, what happened to September 12th?
You can give them to us.
You didn't have it.
Oh, fuck, I know,
I'm okay with the sidewalk
I don't
Um,
ones.
have sidewalk.
Yeah,
There you go. We got
What
it
was-
for you.
the only question I had was number 1, 2 individual unrelated businesses operating on the site. There was only one.
Two, the trash business and the
Yeah, but
landscaper.
that's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read it that way either. I thought it was 2 more.
2 more, yeah,
No,
that's the
no,
way I
that's
looked at
kinda
it.
the way
There's
I
one
read
that we went there for, and there's
I didn't-
another
I didn't
additional
say- I
unrelated.
didn't say additional, it says
Should we
an
say,
individual.
how about
said
saying
an
a total of 2?
How about it saying, okay.
A
And-
total of 2
Or an
individual,
additional.
comma, unrelated businesses operating on site, neither of them
Permitted by the town, okay.
being permitted by, oh, okay, leave it the way it is.
I would also put under number 3, debris piles, including tree trunk chunks, septic system components, and building materials and electronics. because it was all types of computer
So at the
parts.
end, before the semicolon, add building materials and electronic components?
Yes.
I think I would have called the unsecured plastic-covered metal frame structure the greenhouse,
Where is this?
number 8.
Hydroponic building?
Yeah.
I like greenhouse, but that's.
Well, see, I didn't use that word because it sounded like it was permanent and a solid structure. Greenhouse can be, you know, metal, glass, all those things.
Plastic, yeah.
Plastic.
Whereas what is here is a
Oh, you want
description
those?
rather than a name.
Okay.
It's plastic,
Well,
it's
there's
metal
no-
framed, and it has a dirt floor, and you can call it a hydroponic
I don't need it.
structure or a greenhouse, doesn't matter. This is what we were looking at. Nobody will be confused. Just so everybody knows, I took the first crack at these, and then I sent them over to Bruce, and Bruce beefed them up with things that I hadn't seen. So this is really, this should be signed by both Bruce and me. But in the meantime, it's just my signature.
Main office shop building, I walked into it, didn't we?
No.
Where is it?
The one with the overhead doors that was locked? It looked-
Somebody walked in through the
We
side door.
we were in there.
We're in
Went
the
in through the
side
side door.
The
The
front
side door was
locked.
open.
When had the electrical cord coming out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know you walked.
Yeah, when I went over there, you were just coming, you'd
Yeah.
gone in
Whereas-
and come out, and the
Yeah.
electrical cord was coming out through.
Neil was in there before I was.
Yeah, where is this?
It was in 14.
14. So strike that.
Yeah.
Strike 14 and renumber 15 and 16. By the way, the inside was quite clean. Yeah, oh, the floor was immaculate, they were repairing stuff in there. Somebody had put his tools away, you know, correctly, and there was an office in the back where Phillips was.
Looks good to me.
That was well organized. Better make a motion.
Since you two wrote it, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the site walk dated, sorry, put it away.
October 2nd,
Thank you, October 2nd,
as amended.
be approved as amended.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're still missing September,
September 12th, I'll send them out again, we can do it next time. I thought everybody had theirs, so. Is that recyclable?
yes, ma'am.
Including the staples.
Are we,
I'm not gonna declare it, I got in trouble for that.
Make a
No, you
motion that we
didn't.
adjourn.
She gave me, she was mad at me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jesus, he took,
Discussion?